All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of RareFUD Radio, episode 23. My name is Bison, aka BisonTrades, over on Twitter. And we have a special episode for you today. As always, the Solana ecosystem continues to provide, as well as the rest of Web3, with everything that's cooking with Reddit, everything in between. Today's episode is mainly going to be focused on the one-on-one space. And we've been cooking on some calls. If you guys haven't noticed, we have absolutely been crushing it on these editions. We've been calling it for a while that we're going to kind of head into this edition meta with some of these prominent artists. And we have been hitting time after time on some of these. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that space. We're going to be talking about what we look for in one-on-ones on the auction side, editions, what you should know about editions, anything that should be on your radar, and why, of course, with all of these. And join with me today is my wonderful co-host, Dorian. Dorian, how are we doing today, man?
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Every day's a holiday. I gotta say it every episode because it's true. So I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, it's not President's Day this time.
It's not.
After
I don't know which holiday it is, but it's better than President's Day. We're starting to see some life back in the market.
Yeah, I would say I'm trying to think of it's probably closer to like Memorial Day or Labor Day. Like it's a day off, you forget about it, but you're like, I got a day off today.
Nice.
This is nice.
This is
So
nice.
yeah, I'm super pumped. But Dorian, gotta give you hats off. You've been banging this drum for a while. Not only did you smash the Adam Ape call with 4x4 and Box of Monkey, which we've all been saying, but you have been banging the drum the loudest, but you've also been banging it on John Lay's Good Morning. So I want to give you your props. And
thanks, man.
We told you so. We told you so. Let's go. We told you guys. We've been telling you for the last, month on this stuff, dude. Like we've been cooking, and you guys didn't listen. You missed out on free alpha, dude. This was obvious. We've been telling you guys obvious plays that you just have to have a little patience on some of this, a little bit of information, and boom, there you go, free alpha. GM literally 2x right before I bought my second one yesterday, and it was a weird feeling. I'm not used to things going up 2x in this market in 3 hours. So yeah, that was a weird timing. I was just like, it's been sitting. I finally got something like an alert that said that it was below 8. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll check it out. And dude, it's been nice. So yeah, it's going to be nice to see what happens with GM. I'm really excited for John Lay's next piece of work because it looks insane. And we know John Lay has the Web 2 resume of building out a cool comic or ecosystem, a good environment. So yeah, Dorian, want to give you your props, man. Congrats on banging that drum, absolutely, and just smashing that play. So you gave him all the time in the world, and for anybody who faded you, now they know. They said you gave him 3 times on 4x4 Voxel Monkey, and then this on top of that. So kudos to you.
Thanks, man. No, it's just it just fits along my trading thesis, dude. Find undervalued projects, and by undervalued, just projects people aren't paying to in the market, and just buy those and hold on to them. I don't have that time to be chasing around all the new mints and the new hottest thing that's going on, because you've pointed out a couple of episodes ago or whatever, all mints share the same pattern. You see them do a 2 to 3x, and then that pullback stage. That's where I'm looking at them during that consolidation stage, because that's where you make your true money at. Not chasing around these mints, because the only 2 mints that I recall doing some absolute numbers are OK Bears and Cats on Crack. Only 2, and I've been in this space for a long time, dog.
Yeah, and Cats on Crack, it actually took a month to really saturate to where it was. So it's just one of those things that you just have to have the patience and conviction with it, and I think it's a lot of what people lack in this space. We're going to talk about numbers. Of course, we got to go over a little bit of a market update. According to tiexo.com, we are at 85K sold volume for the past 24 hours. Again, it's kind of a vanity metric, but I think we've been talking about it for a while, that the 0% royalties is kind of blown out proportion. Looking over Hello Moon, they do give a wash trading index, and it doesn't look nearly as prevalent these days as it was when they were first announced 0% royalties, or I guess buyer optional royalties, I'll call them. And so these numbers starting to look a little bit more promising. It has a little bit more meat on them, but I'm still not taking them at face value right now. I still think you should be wary about whatever volume numbers are being reported and approach with caution. This kind of kills my trading thesis. This is why we've been talking about switching to more of a patient investor's mindset, going more with a Dorian approach of looking at catalysts, not so much chasing volume or anything like that, because those numbers can be messed up. So Dorian, how do you feel about the market? What are we looking at here?
I'm feeling pretty good, man. Because we can't fully rely on volume anymore. It's like I rely on sentiment via Discord and Twitter, and things are looking a bit more optimistic, man. People are starting to talk about plays more and not just about 0% royalties. Even Magic Eden came out with a message the other day saying that, hey, we've been gathering data on how much people actually pay royalties, and it'll surprise you. So it seems like the data is showing that people are selecting to pay full royalties, even though it's optional. So that's optimistic as well. Then what else is going on? Oh, yeah, I saw a tweet from Easy today talking about how there's all these 0% marketplaces coming over on ETH. So even though they've dabbled in it before, it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to be affected by this and if it will be. So, but yeah, man, I'm feeling a lot more positive than I was on Tuesday. It's crazy how things can happen. The market's still not there's not a bull run back yet, but there's so much going on now. And when we have things to talk about in terms of plays and different things, it shows that there's life back in the market.
Yeah, it's really good. Before I get into any more analysis, we are missing one of our co-hosts. As you can see, Joe's not feeling well right now. Man cannot catch a break between his connection, between his dog having issues, and being sick over there. And this is his second time being sick in the past month. So just give Joe some prayers. Wish him some warm and speedy recovery on Twitter. He is at JoeSoul212. We miss him dearly. I'm hoping that
Feel better, dog.
Stronger than ever. But going back to it's a really interesting point, Dor, that they're adopting it over on ETH slowly but surely, the 0% royalties or the buyer optional royalties, right? I think it is very interesting because one, they were roasting us for it. They're like, wow, Solana, I can't believe Solana would do this. They're adopting it over there. It has been somewhat dabbled with before, but I think that Solana is now kind of pushing the envelope over there. And, the despair we saw when it was first introduced, I would expect that we're going to see some similar, controversy and disparity over there. So it'll be fun to watch now that I feel like we've got it more settled and people are working on stuff. Between simpler, with their
Metaplex,
Metaplex working on a new token standard with some of the other big brains in the space. I think we are at a closer point than them to a solution to this. And it just goes to show that, royalties weren't enforceable on a contractual level, no matter where you were looking. So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, feels a lot better for Sol right now, right?
Yep. And it's now that you mentioned that, you brought up Metaplex, and for those individuals who got the Metaplex airdrop, if they are the first ones to be able to implement enforceable contract for royalties, hey, they might be using their token for some reason. Hopefully you didn't sell at the Pico bottom. That's all I have to say.
Exactly. It was one of the things that it was at such a good price if you were able to get it early. Now it wasn't. It wasn't. I haven't looked at the chart lately, but I remember seeing the swap was like nothing, and I was like, dude, why would I? This was free. It could. Metaplex is like a core foundation for Solana NFTs. Like, I'm gonna hold on to this stuff, and maybe I'll even look to accumulate at a
one of those easy plays, dude, all the time.
I want some more information before I actually decide to go in heavy on it, but I definitely think that you're right, and I've been saying this for a while, that once I saw it absolutely dump, I was like, I think we should be looking for entry points on this. So I think you bring up a good point, Dora. I totally forgot about the Metaplex token, so it'll be very fun to watch how it all plays out. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see innovation happening on the chain. And we're continuing to build here on Solana. We've been telling everybody that Aptos was just a blip. People are going over to Ethereum and realizing yet again that the UI UX sucks over there. And MetaMask, you can't even see your NFTs in your wallet still. How is that still a thing, dude? I don't know. It drives me nuts over there. Nonetheless, Sol's still doing stuff. So we got some stuff to talk about. Really, the meat and bones of today is going to be talking about 101s and additions. It's something that has been heavily requested from a lot of people. As soon as Dorian got into it, well, you've been seeing him. He's been cooking it. So
Because you dog, just copy trade Bison. That's all you need to do.
I don't know about exact copy trade. I made enough mistakes so you, the viewers, don't have to, right? I spent about 100 soul on stuff that probably won't see any return. It's just good art. So, don't make the 100 soul mistake I did. And we're going to tell you all about that today, what to look for. But first, I kind of want to get into, and Dorian, I'm going to let you talk about it more because I saw it pop up on my feed last night. Somebody was talking about these brains and zombies NFT. And I almost just aped in. I was like, no, the last time I did that, like it was don't F with felines or some other call where I was just like, I just followed some tweet and I was like, that goes against everything, my principle. And if I don't have an edge, like I'm just buying somebody else's bag. So I want you to talk a little bit about brains and zombies, what you know about it, and then what your play has been and where your position is right now.
Yeah, so I heard like one of the few trusted people in this space. I've heard it from them. He's like, "Oh, we need to get on these brains," and I'm like, "What the heck are these?" So they're essentially, it's like a gamified. I don't want to call it similar to Wolf Game, but it's a different one of those type of game mechanics. So these brains, they're being airdropped essentially right now. And so all you have to do is during a wave, you go into the website and you're able to claim one of the brains or whatnot. And I think you can only have 2 per wallet. So after you claim a brain, that's going to be used for a whitelist pass to the mint for a zombie on October 31st. Then with those, oh, sorry about that. With those zombies, Jesus, I'm so sorry.
You're good.
With those zombies, you'll be able to feed them brains, and brains will continuously be airdropped at random times where you just have to go and log in. Of course, it's like the bigger brain you have, the higher level your zombie can get. And they said they'll have seasons, and at the end of these seasons, the people with the highest level zombies will be rewarded with something. We don't know what that is yet. Right now, there's 0% royalties for the brain, so the team isn't making anything except through their AMM. I think they have on Hate Swap. I don't even think they set up the AMM, so they're not making anything right now.
Right.
But with the zombies, they're just going to put those out there on a one-sided liquidity pool, and that's how you're minting them, which is, I think, a great idea and one of the best innovations that came from this, because the team will still be able to get royalties because they'll control the liquidity pool for buying and selling.
Yeah, and that's another good point. Didn't they release not on Hate Swap though? Like I think they didn't mint out or whatever. I think they just did basically an ABC on Magic Eden or something like that, right? And I think it is an HGE connected project. Is that correct?
I'm not too sure about the HGE connection, but I think you're right about how it initially started, and it's kind of blowing up. Like we saw it, I think, did like 300% increase the other day. Right now, I hopped in. I brought 2 of the level 1 brains, or 3 of the level 1 brains for about 2.5, and then I brought a level 2 brain for about 4.5. And then I'm like, let me just because I knew that extra wave was coming on, I think there was going to be a pullback in the brains. So I was like, let me just go ahead and sell them real quick and get back in on this pullback. So I do plan on picking up some brains so I can feed to my zombies whenever they mint on the 31st.
Yeah, for you guys, just on a technical level, if I'm looking at a chart right now, it's a very healthy chart. It looks like it's pulling back a little bit right now. I would be interested around 2.13. Just looks like that's it's like a step function right now where it just keeps going up, then kind of retracing to like a point of contact over there on the last leg up. So right now I'd be interested in 2.13, but like Dorian said, they just released some more supply as well. So they just turned on a little bit more of a faucet. I think it was like a 1.1K brains they released or something like that.
That release will actually be coming tomorrow because they had some issues with the site. So the release will be coming in tomorrow, and I'll be in there trying to pick some up. But I'm really, if I can't get any from the essentially airdrop, I'm going to pick some up off the secondary if there's a price pullback. Right. I just think this is, and this is one of the things, is like, it's not a play I'd actively engage in, but this is like how these Ponzi farm games are. This is how Wolf Game happens. So you just got to be early in these type of games before they catch fire, because when they do catch fire, they can go pretty big. So I think it's pretty fun. People are pretty bored right now and have been waiting for something interesting. And I think this has the ability to capture people's attention.
Yeah. Ybarra in chat is asking, where can I get some of these zombies? I'll let you kind of explain the mechanic with the brains, Dorian.
Yeah. The zombies don't mint till October 31st. The brains act as a whitelist pass to mint a zombie. Also, it's like even if you don't have a brain, they'll have an open liquidity pool on Hate Swap, so you'll just be able to go and buy in. They don't know what the delta is yet, and they don't know the initial price of the pool either. So if there's super high demand and a hype for it, you can expect, and which it seems to be building up too, because people are already starting to talk about it. So I think there's going to be a lot of demand for this, and these things can probably run up pretty high for the zombies at least. And the art's pretty cool too. I'm not going to lie. And if the rewards for leveling up your zombies are there, dude, I think it's going to be a pretty fun experience.
Yeah, and I kind of want to piggyback off of Easy. One, we'll talk about Elixir in a second too, because I do want to touch up Easy's interview with Elixir. I only got a little bit in, but it's very good, and Elixir sounds like they're doing incredible stuff on the AMM side. So I'm curious to dig into it more. If you guys haven't seen it, I would highly encourage you go over to Easy's channel and go ahead and subscribe on YouTube. He has some incredible content. We definitely respect him here at RareFUD Radio, and love us some Easy. So but I remember a tweet I think he put out this morning where he was talking about like, we have been looking for like kind of a gamification sort of staking, sort of like game theory game, sort of like Wolf game, right? And like that has actually executed. I remember Cops and Robbers or something like that minted back in like October.
I'm traumatized from Cops and Robbers.
I know, man. It was that was a rug pull and a half. I like hindsight, we should have seen it coming. I didn't get involved with it because I was like, there's something fishy over here. But
dude, so real quick, I bought the liquidity pool token because I couldn't get an NFT because you needed the token for the stuff, the in-game mechanics. So I'm like, this thing is going to pump. Dude, that thing did a 3 or 4x, but Solana was acting up and I couldn't sell, man. So it's like I rode it up like 2 to 3x, and then I started riding back down and managed to finally get out of my position. They never, dude, I'm just so traumatized from that game, man.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, like, there's a fine line between game theory and Ponzonomics, and like getting trapped in positions over in those games. So like, be careful with whatever you do, but it is fun. And I think, one of the points of Easy's tweet was like, it doesn't need to be a AAA game or anything like that we're looking for here. We just want to have fun and a social experiment, a social game that we can do right now, especially in a bear market. It's one of the things that we're working on, obviously, over at Remnants. If you guys don't have a Remnant yet, you won't need one at the pivot, but I promise you the people that do have Remnants are going to be rewarded. There's a little bit of alpha for you guys. That's why we're holding like a 7 soul floor right now. But, I think he's right. Like we do need to see more fun just come into, I've been saying fun is a meta. It's one of the reasons I love these additions, which we'll get into in a second too, is like the community over in the 101 space is just bar none. Even in a bear market, they're having fun. They're encouraging artists. They're investing in people. And I think it's just like, it's so refreshing to see, not like a win moon, win utility, win any of this or that. Right. And then, I think games, especially a simple game, can be a huge catalyst for us just having fun over here. And it's just a fun experiment, and you can possibly make money off of it. Like if you have that objective in mind, I think whatever game comes out, whether it is these brains or whatever, is going to make it.
Yep. Dude, that was well said, man. And I completely agree. Like, I saw Easy's tweets referencing that too. And I'm like, yeah, it would be a blast to have something like that. I remember how I didn't get into Wolf game, but I remember how much fun it was to witness the social aspect of that. And they had a lot of this stuff going on over on East side with Pac. He's done a lot of social things like this. So I just can't wait. Hopefully this zombie brains and zombies thing is it. I'm going to participate in it. I might take an L, but guess what? I'm fine with that because it could turn out to be pretty fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it is going to be fun. I'm definitely interested in zombies, especially right now with Soul at $30 a pop. And like, it's such a low barrier to entry right now versus if it was $200 a soul, right? Like 2 soul is a lot for a lot of people. And so it's fun to experiment with these kind of games and seeing what kind of sectors we can actually branch these NFTs into, right? So I'm curious about it. It sounds like a cool concept. I've read into the white paper a little bit or I guess, whatever that website that everybody uses for white paper these days. But moving on, definitely think Zombies is one to watch with brains. Want to touch up a little bit on Elixir. So, yesterday they did announce that they had a nice little tweet that was talking about the 777 nectars can now begin revitalizing the city. You can stake your nectars, generate your Elixir PFPs, and then once staking is complete, you can actually burn the nectar to unlock your legendary PFP. So there's going to be a lot of mechanics that come with these 777 Elixirs. Elixir has been doing really cool stuff. Like I said, I need to dive into Easy's video a little bit more to see what their future plans are.
I need to watch his video as well.
Everybody, look, a lot of respected people have been talking about how good it is, how good Elixir is doing on that front, and how, obviously Easy's one of the best content creators out in Solana. So I'm very curious to see what happens. I know a lot of respected people are talking how cool Elixir is. So I think this is definitely a play. It's at 40 SOL right now, last time I checked, which it's steep, but you do get a lot whenever they do come into the PFP collection. And it's gonna be interesting to see what happens with the utility. I don't know if you looked into Elixir at all, Dor, but
no, that's been on one of my dude. I've just been so busy trying to finish that video that I haven't had time to research Elixir, but I will. That's like one of my things to research. I need to research Backpack or whatever that wallet is, or Backpack NFT or something. I need to research Elixir. So there's I got a backlog of things that I need to get around to.
Right. Elixir's been high on my priority list for a while. Bruno in the audience is saying they have AMM, Launchpad, staking, lending, fractionalization. And it is the best utility play on the market right now. I would agree from what I know. And the one thing I'll say about Elixir is that, with these utility plays, I'm so curious to see what happens in the long haul. But we talk about like Tayo and Graphite, being a great utility play. We talk about, I'm trying to think of some other one. Tayo is definitely the prime example, but a lot of these utility plays like Foxy, right? The famous Fox Federation, it's all related to Web3. So however well Web3 is doing, it's kind of a derivative is what their utility is. And, if the Web3 market isn't pumping, the utility really isn't there. Now, I think Tayo has more reach outside of Web3, and like that more potential over there. But a lot of these are just helping the Web3 ecosystem. So if the Web3 ecosystem isn't thriving, then that utility is almost useless, right? I mean, however well it is solely dependent on the health and wellness of the Web3 ecosystem. And so that's one of the things that I'd be wary about with these utility plays. Now, I think Elixir is doing things great. From everything I've heard from them, they're doing a phenomenal job over there. They were holding like a 5 to 10K a day Solana volume over there. So definitely one I want to look at. And Elixir is looking at cross-chain, Bruno says. So that's also interesting. That's one of the reasons I'm bullish on Bothead for their whitelist allocation. Nonetheless, just something to look at, guys. We're always talking about plays you should have on your radar, and I think Elixir's held his floor really well. I was hoping for a pullback, but they continue to just sit there and do really well. So curious to see what happens there. Dorian, do you have any closing thoughts on Elixir before we move on?
No, man, I really need to do more research into it. I know it's one of the premier AMMs, and I'm not one of those individuals who are like, oh, it's like only Magic Eden will survive. And while it is a very zero-sum game in terms of marketplace share and liquidity, it's like there's other marketplaces that exist, and I think they'll continue to exist. How prevalent they'll be is is very questionable, but I don't think HateSwap is going anywhere based on the name recognition it has out there. And same thing with Elixir. So it'll be very interesting to see what's going to happen with these AMM/marketplaces in the future.
Yeah. Before we move on, I would say that Elixir does a really good job incentivizing users to use their platform. They do a really good job of rewarding people with it. And I'd say the UI UX is incredible. I've used Elixir a little bit, and it is one of the just most aesthetically pleasing AMMs that I've used so far. So just one to put out there. Definitely think it should be on everybody's radar. It has been ranging anywhere from 50 to it hit a low of 38, 37 on some of these. So it's been trading in this range for a while. If you can pick it up sub 40, I think that's probably a good play. Not financial advice. We are not financial advisors or anything of that nature. Moving on though, let's get into the meat and bones of today's show. we're going to be talking about with the one-on-one space. Dorian, we've been cooking lately on the additions. It's been so nice to just, the one-on-one plays makes so much sense to me. The auctions aside, because the auctions is a different topic, the additions make so much sense. Additions from these prominent artists that we have been, absolutely screaming from the high heavens that you should be buying right now. We are going to go into a meta, and especially since Exchange Art announced that they were doing a whitelist platform where, these artists could whitelist for their next edition with Matrica. You can get a verified role, you can use Bothead or whatever it looks like, and you can actually get pre-sale allocation for holding one of their previous editions. These have been cooking. These have been absolutely cooking lately. Anywhere from the most prominent, in my opinion, I think is Adam Ape with his 4x4 and his Voxel Monkey. Brave List came out sooner than I expected to. I was hoping to accumulate some more, and once it was announced, it just went ripping. If you think that was a rip, I guarantee you, once we get closer to Iron Paw, it is going to be to eclipse it. So I'm looking to add any supply chain Voxel Monkey. If I can somehow manage the liquidity for an actual Voxel Monkey itself, I'm going to be doing so. I think it is. If you were to look me straight in the eye and say, Bison, do you want a D-God right now or a Voxel Monkey?
Voxel Monkey.
Voxel Monkey. I would honestly say Voxel Monkey. Like, I just have that much belief in Adam and what he's doing over there, and being cross-chain. He's bringing on Brave users. Like, if you want to talk about somebody who is doing the most in Web3 right now, I think Adam has to be up there on the top 5.
Hands down, dog.
Yeah,
like,
it's clear.
Yeah, dude, I'm right there with you. And like, one of the points that we were mentioning, like utility, like a lot of these utility plays are tied to like how well the Solana ecosystem is doing. I've been becoming more bullish on solid founders with name, like artists, like one-of-one artists such as Adam, John Lay, using their artistic abilities and curating these tight-knit communities, dudes. Even the High Blinks, the dudes over at Low Front, Eto and I Am Soul Boy. These guys and girls are killing it, man. Like, with High Blinks with her additions, John Lay with his additions, Adam with his 4x4. It's like, this is such a small supply, and they're giving them out to people, releasing them on the market, and people are buying them in, and they're highly valued because the people buying these are already highly established people within the ecosystem. A lot of traders aren't just buying these to flip. They're buying these to hold on to them for the long term. Adam's already making his way over in ETH, establishing connections in there with CryptoPunks. The Proof Collective. Proof Collective is the creator of Moonbirds. We have High Blinks. She's speaking in Lisbon right now. So she's coming out with her already with Hoodlums. Then you have her she released another edition today, but these editions help them grow their community. Same thing with John Lay in his first edition, and then GM. Now he's given whitelist to the comic that he's trying to create, and he has a background in comics, and this is a huge gap that this ecosystem is missed on. Then you have RGB with with Critters Cult. But yeah, it's just like seeing all these one-of-one artists. I think we're in, like you've been saying, Bison, we're in this one-of-one meta, and the people who have been paying attention to this show are well in front running the market easily.
Yeah.
Sorry for that long monologue.
No, I mean, it makes sense, though. It's one of those things that I've always said that art is the first and best use case for NFTs, like pure and simple. It was the most easy, low-hanging fruit for NFTs. We've seen it with Beeple, making like $1 million sale, well over $1 million sale, and just like completely changing his life. And that just shows artists that have a prominent portfolio what you can do in Web3, as well as inspire artists who don't have that portfolio, that weren't well known in Web 2. You can make a platform over here and really build a following. I think some people have done it incredibly well. Obviously, John Lay and Adam have had that Web 2 portfolio. We're always going to be heavy hitters in the space, and I think they're just kind of like really coming into their own. I think High Blinks, we've been saying it for a while. High Blinks didn't have nearly as big of a Web 2 portfolio as Adam and John Lay. I mean, John Lay literally made an entire comic that was well known. Adam literally made a logo that billions of people have seen now. It is the Google logo that you see whenever you're using the Google Assistant or anything like that. The modern Google logo. So they were always going to hit. High Blinks is, I honestly think, is going to be one of the premier Web3 artists that really made it through like just the ditches. And I think she's creating an incredible like world. She's doing a great job with world building with Blinks in general. I remember the tweet she put out not too long ago that said, I want this pink hair to be like as iconic as the Goku hair, right? The sand hair. And I was sitting there, I was like, hell yeah, hi Blinks. Like, let's go. That's the ambition I like to see. And that's one of the reasons I like backing her. Now, I did talk.
She's a beast.
She is. And her speaking in Lisbon is just like, that shows she is crushing it right now. She is one of the hardest working people in Web3. And I'm just so happy to see her make it. You know, she's getting collected by HGE, and Bungiel was bidding on like her first piece and or her 001 piece of Hybling. Yeah. So we see a lot of prominent collectors over there, and I think that is one of the big things when it comes to what I like to look for in one-on-one artists. You like to look for big collectors, putting in bids and everything like that, having them on their radar. I like to see good cadence of artwork. So, you know, they're not spamming editions or anything like that. They're not spamming auctions at the same time where they're kind of cannibalizing each other. And they're really connected in the community between artists with their collectors and everything in between. They get it. They get the business sense of it. That's why we've been saying, you know, those were the low-hanging fruit was Adam and John. I think high blinks, low fronts, and Proteon, probably in that order for me, are like the next up. I know Proteon messaged in Portraits of the Aftermath. He's like, I'm just getting a little burnt out right now, and I get it. I was like, dude, you're building like some of the most unique art on Solana. Take a break. Like it is totally fine, especially in this market, but you will see Cadence just literally put in a bid on his most recent piece on exchange. So I think it's gonna be okay. And I think we talked about it last night on Salami Mommy's No Fluff late hours, late at night, and
it was like 10 of us in there.
I know, I loved it. I love it was a blast. That's why I enjoy RareFUD, is because we usually have 10 live viewers and they get the alpha first. And I don't feel bad about like pumping back. I'm not trying to pump bags to 10 other people. Like I'm not trying to dump on 10 people, right? So it's one of those things that we talked about it last night. I thought Hansy was a really good buy. I still do. I'm it's more of a longer term hold now for me versus she just came out with an edition today, and it like we didn't have whitelist for it or anything like that, which is kind of upsetting. Like I would have loved to have it as our first edition holder, somebody who bought on secondary for 15 soul or something like that. Like I would have liked to have that, but that's okay. Maybe she's trying to build out her edition portfolio, and then she'll kind of group those up together and give whitelist out. I'm
confident she knows what she's doing. Maybe it's just an untraditional route that we're not used to. It's like obviously she's like one of the top in the ecosystem in the one-of-one space. So even like if she doesn't give it directly, that's fine. Just having her art and something that she made, I think will provide value back in the future, just as she continues to grow. Yeah,
exactly. And I know she will too, because she is one of those that you can clearly see she deeply cares about her collectors and the people that believe in her. And she, interacts with the artist community. She's just like really likable. I listened to her on a space, and Hyblinks is just one of the like best people in this ecosystem. So I do think, look, we've been cooking on these editions. John Lay and Adam were like the simplest, easiest. We saw a catalyst. It was going to happen. I think Hyblinks is one to watch. I think with her recent edition drop, I want some more info before I like warrant it as you need to buy this right now. We're banging the drum just like we were on the last two. But she's one to watch, right? And I think Low Fronts coming out with their Poké Center with Degen Poet. Definitely one that you need to have a low front. I will tell you that right now. Low front is doing the most in this ecosystem in terms of building out an immersive experience, which I've always been very big on. They built out animation, good illustration, and have accompanying music to go with it. So just like that minute and 30 seconds that they usually have on most of their pieces, it's just so like whatever they want to do with the vibe they're giving out is fantastic. It is so good.
Yeah, dog. Dude, you said that beautifully, man. And I agree with everything that you said. I'm so bullish on high blinks and low fronts. It's like I've been searching. I'm like, okay, I need to get me a hoodlum. I
Yeah.
need to get me a hoodlum and I need to get me a one-of-one low front. Those two just is like, I don't see any immediate value in those. Those are like that's like kind of like my DAA play. It's like I can set it aside and know it's going to be fine. And it's going to pay back off way over anything that a 10K collection could provide, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Just because it's like, how do you quantify? It's like what the floor price of an artist is supposed to be, especially that small and that reputable. So yeah, man, I'm so bullish on them. It's like I'm hoping Utes does soon, so I can take profit on Utes, so I can try to get on the next hoodlum bid. But I really want a hoodlum in the network she's establishing over there, man. I'm trying to be a part of that because it can bring value back to RareFUD and you guys.
Right, exactly. And I think her hoodlums are doing pretty well. They're kind of doing what Proteon's doing right now, where they're kind of coasting right now, and I think it's a product of the market, which is why I'm telling you, if you can, I know some of these pieces are like extremely expensive for a lot of people. If you can, though, I think these are worth going after just because they are iconic pieces. I think just like with the fine art industry, which is like $1 billion+ industry, easily, like it's billions, and it's one of the best performing assets outside of real estate that you could own over the past like 100 years is fine art, right? It's one of the easiest like inflation hedges that nobody really thinks about, and it's really hard for a lot of people to afford like $100 million Van Gogh piece, right? Like you're not going to be able to own that. Most of the museums do. What do you do instead? Well, you can get in on the ground floor on digital art, and this is one of the bullish theses I've been saying for the one-on-one scene, especially on Solana, because a lot of people, there's a low barrier to entry for these third world countries. You can't afford gas or anything like that to mint out your edition. Sometimes you're actually losing money on Ethereum. Like it just didn't make sense for them. I think this space has such a long way to go. And a lot of people will say, well, you can just right click, save the art and all that good stuff. I'd say, bro, you can copy, a Van Gogh piece or whatever. You see Mona Lisa's hanging on people's wall, but it's not the real one. And just like you absolutely know that this isn't a real piece if somebody tried to copy it and put it on the blockchain. Like you have provenance here in the one-on-one space. And so that's why I think this has such a long way to go. It's one of those patience plays that if you do it right and you find these right thematic collections, whether it's Portraits of the Aftermath with Proteon, whether it's Hoodlums with High Blinks, whether it's a Voxel Monkeys with Adam, or Laydao with John Lay, like there's alpha to be had there. Just got to find the right collection.
Yo, you're right about that, man. And I think the Solana one-of-one space is still untapped. It's like people look at ETH as the premier one-of-one space, but we're growing it here, man. And I think they will only continue to grow. And the people that we're talking about today are the leaders of this ecosystem. While Adam he still has plans to go to ETH right now, but he hasn't discounted, like we're still releasing stuff on Solana in the future, really depending on what he wants to do with his art. John Lay is the premier one of our art leader in this space, as well as High Blinks. Proteon's working his way up there, and I want to shout out Scooby too, because Scooby, even though I'm probably shooting myself in the foot on this one, but he's also doing a lot of not low front, but lo-fi type music with his art, and it's really, really good. I think you use some of his work for the openings on RareFUD sometimes, right, Bison?
Oh yeah. He was today's opening song. He'll be next week's opening song as well. I did buy his first piece off secondary. I messaged the guy who won it while I was gone last night and was like, hey, I will buy this for double what you paid. I was going to buy it for 5 SOL. That was going to be my limit anyways, so not that much more, but happy to be his first secondary sale. Scooby is one of those that music NFTs will find their place and find their business model eventually. I really do think so. I think it could be such a cool way. Like you can find it to where you can mint a master copy to like 100 people. And then if people wanted to burn it, it would be kind of like burning CDs back in the day. And I know some people that are watching this never burned a CD before. Bless your heart. Like those were crazy days, but you can literally burn that master copy to somebody else. Like they could mint it from you. Maybe it had like 100 uses or something like that. And you got to get a mint price from it, and then a royalty went back to the original artist. Like there's some cool business models that you could do with music NFTs that would be beneficial for everybody. You can incentivize artists and incentivize holders to spread the good word about the track itself. I think with music NFTs right now, you need to have an immersive environment. That's why I've been so bullish on low fronts. Like I think music is not really at the forefront of a lot of these one-on-one collections, but it makes one-on-one so much better if you have music. It's so much better. So with low fronts, they have really good illustrations and animations that go with it. And the music just encapsulates the entire mood, right? So I think with Scooby, I was always like, man, his beats are so sick. I really wish he did more on the visual side. Well, his most recent piece, he actually teamed up with a great artist to release like a nice little pixelated animation that I just thought, that's perfect right there. That is a perfect step in the right direction. So if I can be one of the first ones to collect this piece as he continues on in the ecosystem and releases at a really good pace, oh man, my like 1 to 8 soul buys are going to look like absolute Giga Brain plays. And I know 2 of the people that he's collabing with in the near future are like he messaged me and was like, hey, I have 2 confirmed collabs. I can't say them right now. I don't want to do that to Scooby, but he's like, they're, redacted and redacted. I was like, no way. Holy, that is a glow up and a half. I love Duxie himself, but the next 2 are like real players in the one-on-one space. So I'm telling you right now, buy a Scooby piece. Buy it. Whatever you can do to get a Scooby piece.
I'm on. So like, do you just put in bids on these things? Do you reach out to the people? Like, how do you do this?
I do. Now I will tell you right now that Admiral and I hold pretty much all the supply.
Oh, Admiral has this one. God damn it.
Yeah,
I know. So go ahead.
Admiral and I have a friendly rivalry. While he's going to Lisbon, though, I'm over here buying and acquiring more Scooby pieces. But I think we control, between both of us, we have 7 pieces of like the 10 total that Scooby's put out. So yeah, we like Scooby a lot, but it is, you can put out offers on them. I know Nick in Cyber Samurai actually has a piece as well, so you maybe will reach out to him and see if you can do one. But I would wait for these collabs and just see if you can put something in, because the name recognition that some of these collab artists will have with Scooby, you're going to be like, holy, how did he pull this off? Because that glow up was quick. When he told me the names, I was like, no shot. These are like, I would put them in the Proteon tier of artists right now, where they're on their way up to that upper echelon. So it's going to be really curious to see what happens with it. I'm so excited for Scooby, dude. He's an awesome person, and definitely think he's one of the underrated artists right now.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned Admiral, because I'm also, once again, huge shout out to you and to my boy Guitar, because I wouldn't have gotten into this collection called Fellas, done by an awesome dude named Fed, one of the OGs in this space. His handle is @basket. These things are super cool, and like I managed to get mine. His name is Christopher. Hideous dude, but so cool at the same time. I managed to get him for 10 soul. And then it's like the group of people in this community are pretty solid. Soul Big Brain's in there, Jay Shep's in there, Admiral's in there, Nom's in there. So I'm gonna actually hit up Nom. I'm sorry, not Nom. I'm gonna hit up Admiral and be like, yo, can I buy one of your Scooby pieces for like a 2x?
He will probably tell you no. I'm gonna let you
know.
I
know. I'm gonna hit him up anyway.
I've tried to well, there's no friendly words with Admiral and I. It's what I say that it's all fun and games, but we're racing against each other. Just absolutely bid every Scooby piece. I'm done right now. Admiral, if you're watching this, I'm done collecting Scooby pieces for a little bit, so you have time to catch up. But I'm preaching the word, so you're gonna have competition. You should have got in earlier. I do want to talk a little bit about more underrated artists that I think are doing really cool stuff. Sube. Now, Sube is a person. I think she's from South Africa, if I remember correctly. She actually came on to a random space I hosted a while back. And we talked for a little bit, and she's just such a good person. I looked at her art, and it is very unique. She has a very unique style to it. And I always say, when I buy one-on-one pieces, I want a style that is not easily replicated or something you don't see very often. Like goes against the grain, is going to be a forefront in their art style. So I picked up a Sube piece for like 1.5 soul, was not expecting to get it, but her String Theory series is great. I think it's awesome. I think there's like some really cool pieces in there, but I think she's doing really well. Joni Visual, so Joni Visual all one word, over on Form Function is another good one. That is more or less, he has somewhat of a similar style to John Lay, and we've been seeing a lot of them pop up lately, where they kind of have like, you see a lot of John Lay influence, but I think it's a really cool style, and you can find some pieces for like 1 to 1.5 Sol, worth picking up, right? I definitely think Indonesian artists in general, I'm telling you right now, guys, they're cracked. They're absolutely cracked. I don't know what it is they do over there, but they are incredibly talented artists, and I want to invest in all of them. And you can find a lot of them on Form Function. So you have two different marketplaces, Exchange Art and Form Function. Those are the two big ones on Solana. You will find a lot of them over on Form Function. I'm telling you right now, Indonesian artists, highly undervalued.
Yeah, man. I just looked up string theory while you were talking about it, and there's an auction going on right now, and your boy will be putting in bids.
Yep. I love Sube. I definitely think she's worth. I have one of her pieces. I will probably just hold that one piece, because I want more collectors in there. She talks to Hyblinks a lot, and it's one of those things that you just have to look at, like,
the network.
Hey, you got to look at where that network is headed. If she's talking to Hyblinks, and I think she has a really unique style, and she's just a great person, like, that's a person I want to invest in. Again, want to reiterate, when you are investing in some of these one-on-one pieces, do not look for immediate 2x like overnight. It's probably not going to happen unless you're lucky with some of these additions, right? Like low fronts additions were absolutely cooking. I made a pretty easy 2x on some of those. Degen Poet's another good one. I'm trying to think of some other. Highway definitely has some good pieces out there. There's just a lot to explore with one-on-one art, guys. And I'm telling you right now, in a bear market, that was where I made the most profitable trades or easiest investments of my life. So if we're going to continue in this kind of crab market where we're just trending sideways and nothing's really happening, one-on-one art. I'm telling you right now.
Dude, it's crazy that you say that, because you're right. It's what Adam did the 2x and GM just did a 2x. It's like there's nothing else that has been moving like that. Those are additions, man. And I just think, as you were saying as well, this type of play isn't something that you're going to get overnight, which lines perfectly with my investment type, because I don't have time to sit there and worry about it. I like to see these people grow, and the untapped potential of Solana's one-on-one space is insane. You're seeing pieces on ETH go for tens of thousands of dollars. Why can't it be the same here? What I think Hyblink's first piece sold like for like 1,000 sold or something crazy like that, and that was like one, the 001, right? I think so it's like, if that's her first piece and she's still growing in this space, what do you think the rest of her pieces are going to do? This is like one of those most obvious things that is like, I don't know why anybody's not talking about this.
Yeah, I do think now Hyblink's 001 piece went for 135 Sol, which still was an incredible uptick from her 000 piece, which sold for 46. So that we're now in the market, it's kind of stagnated. Her last piece went to HGE for 100 Sol. So you're looking at about 34 less than her 001 piece. I did like her 001 piece a little bit more than 002. That's just me personally, but she's building out a very cool environment over there with the whole. So she actually released a tweet that showed, you see these like masked little gremlins on top of Blinks, the character, or in the picture itself. It represents anxiety. And I think that's a very cool like representation within an art piece. Like, this is a character you see in pretty much all of her pieces. It's just like anxiety's falling, but she's still happy. And I think that's a cool message to put across. So, Hyblinks is one of those that I think is great. Degen Poet has a very unique style. OX Flat is another one that I think a lot of people should be looking at. Hyblinks tweeted him out, or her. I don't know if Flat is a him or her. So apologize for pronouns in advance, but Flat is an incredible artist that does somewhat similar to Sleeper, but in a more simplistic style. Like, it's a super flat artist. I think Sleeper is incredible. I think Sleeper is like a premier artist right now that deserves a lot of credit, but Flat is right up there with simplistic, minimalistic, does a really good job doing it. Cloud Collector is another one in that same vein.
Yeah, I was just thinking too. I was like, I'm more bullish because we've seen all these 10K collections release and talk about, oh, we're going to create a comic or create a story, but none of these have been led by actual artists with a vision. or if they haven't been successful. But seeing what Hyblinks is building and how there's this consistent theme throughout, I think that has a wider reach that can break into the Web 2 sphere. Vice just being here stuck in Web 3. Same thing with what John Zalay's doing. He has the ability to create a comic because not only has he done it in the past, but going forward, he has a new vision that I think that can, I hate to use the word, bridge the gap, but to maybe onboard people potentially because they want to have access to this comic. But yeah, that just came to mind by looking at their art and just like the consistent theme that John Lay's trying to portray throughout. Same thing with Hyblinks. Same thing. Like all these artists have their niche that they're really building upon.
Yeah, and I think finding that niche is like incredibly important for these artists. So I think that about does it for one-on-one art. Unless you have any other people, Dorian, that you want to shout out real quick. I know there's definitely like Camille Chatelaine. I'm probably butchering your name, Camille. I'm so sorry, but just finished the Hometown series not too long ago, and that was collected by a lot of prominent collectors in the space for very cheap. I know H, my brother in 101s, over in Remnants and with the Yord team over there, loves Camille's Hometown series, and then I picked up one as well. Craig, A2K, HEE, HFP, we're all collecting these. So look, it's one of those things where you just follow the money sometimes. It's that easy. Like if you see other prominent bidders having these at least on their radar, like probably worth chasing. Now, make sure you have your limit in mind. That will be my final piece of alpha for you guys. Do not go over a certain limit. Sometimes I got burned by bidding way too much on a piece just because I wanted it so bad, where when I've done really well, it's when I've set a limit, known that if it goes over that, I'm walking away, and that's fine. I'll wait till the next piece. There will be more auctions.
Yep.
So
no, I agree, man. I don't have much one-on-one alpha because I get all mine from you. So if you're running out of alpha, I told you the strategy is copy trade Bison. It's easy.
I wish it was that easy sometimes. I wish somebody told me what to do when I was just starting out, because I bought some pieces that very visually aesthetic, but I don't see anything from some of these artists anymore, and it's kind of sad. Which another point to go across is like, at least you're buying art. They can't rug art, right? Like at least you have a piece that you're like, okay, I would be happy hanging that on my wall or something. So I'm
gonna start reaching out to some of these people. Thank you for that advice, man. Reaching out to some of these people who have them listed for like sale and try to see if they'll just accept the bid or whatever on it. So that's gonna be my strat.
The worst thing they say is no, right? So I would say, like, if you find a piece that you really resonate with, you can broker a deal. I usually like doing it through exchange just so they get the volume. Volume does matter to a lot of these artists, and the royalties that they get paid. I usually compensate them on the other end. So like I gave the guy who collected Scooby 6.6 to cover the royalties part, just so Scooby got his share. He got a volume on there, and I got the piece that I wanted. So it was a premium I'm happy to pay. And look, I will continue collecting one-on-one art. Let's get into some alpha though, real quick, Dorian. We got to end up with all of our alpha. Kind of want your good play. We crushed it with banging the drum on GM and Adam Ape. I'm still bullish on Adam Ape. Once Brave List goes, I think we're gonna see a slip. It's just like everything we see with like these new collections minting, and you have to have this, prior collection in order to get whitelist. I think we'll see a little bit of a slippage in Supply Chain, Voxel Monkey, as well as 4x4. That's what I'm looking to acquire more. I will let you guys know right now because I have the patience to wait for Iron Paw. And Iron Paw is absolutely going to rip. I think whatever test pump we saw for Brave List, which I'm so excited to see Brave List, the Brave and Adam 8 piece drop, because that's going to onboard a ton of people into the art scene as well as Web3. But Iron Paw is going to crush it. Iron Paw is absolutely going to crush it. So I'm looking to acquire more of those pieces. I think with GM, this is kind of an area that I'm not like incredibly interested in. It's right around 14 SOL right now, which we told you before, buy under 8 SOL. I literally gave you a price target and everything. I said under 8 SOL, I'm interested. And both of mine, I got under 8. I am still interested, but I want to see it cool off a little bit. People will undercut and sell. That's just Solana in general. If it goes below 10, I would be interested in picking up another one. But kind of want to reach out to you, Dorian. What do you think? You've been crazy with your calls lately. What do you got?
Thanks, man. Right now, GM, I still think I wouldn't touch it right now just because it just hit a 2x, and that was just based off of one announcement. But just wait till we start seeing some like art previews and stuff. Then people are really going to catch hard FOMO. So I still think GM has some time to run, but that was just an announcement pump. So like announcement pumps don't get me because I'm like, well, I purchased I think 2 of my GMs around 10. One around 11 or 12, and then one at like 6.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
I got a pretty good spread on that, but I plan on holding at least 2 because I do want to get his next collection. But I do plan on selling. I think he can run to like 20 to 30. It wouldn't be surprised the closer we get to mint and FOMO really hits.
I think so too. And I think that's one of the thesis, but it's just like a less certain point of entry right now that
I agree.
I look at it and I'm like, I would wait for it to cool down. If you miss it, so be it. It's actually interesting because the first edition didn't pump as much. And I think that the art on the first edition is, insane. I think it's really good. I think it captures everything that John Blay's about. And it's kind of one of those things that now we're treading into the same thing as the supply chain voxel monkey and 4x4 comparison, where 4x4 is going to hold its value better than supply chain voxel monkey because the art's better. It was Adam's first edition. Same thing goes for here. I think the first edition will hold its value better. So if you're looking for something that's a safer bet, we're getting into the territory that 8 SOL spread between GM and the first edition may be worth looking into. So if you want a safer bet, I think the first edition gives you all the utility. It'll hold its value better in terms of art. And it's a great piece. You go into the John Blay environment at a cheap entry. So that would be my recommendation. If you're looking at these levels, this would probably be the levels that I start seriously considering the first edition over GM. Yep.
No, well said, man. And another piece of alpha I have, of course, is Cyber Samurai. We've just had, I think, a couple whales come in and sweep the floor. We've been down, I think, just primarily because of the market, dude. But it's like we have so much stuff cooking that I promise you, it's like in the next couple weeks or months or whenever the market starts turning around, you're going to see a huge marketing push from Cyber Samurai. And that thing is going, look, 2x from here is going to be little for what we're trying to cook up.
Yeah, the Cyber Samurai is just one of those that, like, I was just looking at it 3 SOL and I was like, I should get more. Like, I already have a pretty hefty bag of it, but I was like, I should pack more. I didn't. I'm regretting it, but look, some of the brightest minds are in Cyber Samurai, and we always talk about community is a very important part of any NFT project, and we have the best in comparison to the floor value, right? So like, this is a group that literally is connected to the one-on-one space. It is connected to DGods, Tios, every other blue chip out there, and they're just so smart. Like, I've learned something from Cyber Samurai holders every single day. It is a great community to be a part of. That alone is worth the entry price right now. So we did pump up a little bit. Somebody swept like 25 of them or something like that. So you could wait to see if paper hands kick in, but even now, anything under 5 SOL, just like Remnants was FUD. You know what I mean? So I'm buying FUD. If I find like if I find a punk helmet for like under 10 SOL, if I find an Anon mask or Warrior mask or under 10 SOL, I'm buying it. Pepe's are definitely the way to go if you want the humor skin. I think that is going to be the one that holds the value most, just because it's a rabid community over there. So
Pepe's are usually they're like 2 to 3x above any floor price, just because Pepe DAO's super active and they're really a tight-knit community there. I think that if you don't have a Cyber Samurai, just come in Discord to hang out, because I've been known to just give out Cyber Samurai to people for hanging out and contributing to the community. So I hooked up Curve just because Curve has been literally supporting our stream, comes to all the spaces, does active in Discord, and he's like, oh man, he's like, I really been having my eye out for a Pepe. Guess what I did? I sent him a Pepe. It just because he's been contributing so much. It's like, what a guy. So we always seek in Cyber Samurai, we always seek to reward holders or non-holders that are contributing to the community.
Yeah, I it's one of the things that I love about Cyber Samurai is we're kind of curating our own community in our own way. Like, it is we're almost creating a Ute list that's like underground, right? It's like we are curating our own people in the community. For the most part, I would say about 80% of the people we have been shilling to privately or something like that. We're like,
Yep.
hey, you should buy a Cyber Samurai.
Yep.
And now we have people like Running Man. We have people like the No Fluff crew, like Salami Mommy,
Easy.
Benny, Lou. We have Manny. We have Jay Shep. We have so many talented people, as well as like people that are constantly in there, like Curve. So it's just one of those communities that I absolutely love everything about it. So for me, the entry price is cheap. What else you got for us, Dor?
That's about it, man. It's like, as you said earlier, it's kind of hard to like, oh, these are good entry points because it's like it's post pump. So it's like, I think GM will be great long term. I'm still bullish on Adam, but I don't know if right now it's the best time to hop in.
Yeah.
Like, even if you did pick up at these prices, I don't think you'd be disappointed. I just think you might get a better entry just by chilling. And I can't guarantee that because I was way more confident on entry points when nobody was paying attention. But now that everybody's paying attention, I can't be like, oh, yeah, this is an amazing pickup.
Right. Exactly. So now I do think sub 5 Sol is fine. I think there's a couple of projects I want to highlight. So one, Liberty Square, I do think they're starting to see, they saw really good reaction to like an 8 Sol floor price. They're back up above 10. So they're in double digits now. That's a really good response to a nice support level for me. And obviously Secret Squirrel and Cass and JS and everybody over there is doing a phenomenal job with that project. You can get a holo token pretty cheap right now. You can buy Filth as well if you want entry into that ecosystem. These are all plays that Liberty Square is just doing a whole lot. I think a lot of people forgot about them as they're chasing new hype and new metas. Something I'm interested in, Lotus Gang. I'm telling you right now, I don't know what it is. Their branding is so good. I don't know if you went to the Lotus website or anything like that.
No, I haven't.
God bless. It is so clean. The palettes are all pastel colors, and they're just very aesthetically pleasing. I think Bungiel is going to blow some minds with Lily. I do. I was hesitant to buy it more Lotus Gang at like 13 or something like that when it dropped below that. Just felt a little too rich, and I was like, well, I can try to buy in at Lily Public or try to get a whitelist spot somewhere else. It just feels like a safe bet, man. It's been holding 15 right now. It's at 16 Sol, and it's one of those price points. I'm like, I don't know if I want to entry it, but I'm telling you, if you don't have one, I would get exposure to Lotus Gang and Lily. I just think they're going to be a special project. And those are like two mid-range projects. I think Catalina at 17 is free. Dude, they're going to start releasing stuff in 2023, I guarantee you. So if you have patience with it, Catalina is, I will say the thing about Catalina and Wagme Beach and Bubble Goose, and I've said it before, is the community is kind of toxic. I'm going to go ahead and put that out there. And I'm not afraid to say it, that there was a Bubble Goose tweet. I cannot remember who it was from, but he was talking about Critters Cult. Like, you guys were chasing Critters Cult and look what happened to you guys and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, we are in a bear market. Like, it is time to like gather around and have cooperation between competition. Like, if you think this tweet is going to be bullish for your project, you're wrong. So I want the community. This is not anything against the founders. The founders are goated. This is not anything against the team. The team is goated. What they are trying to accomplish, goated. Like, Carl, goated. Like, these are all incredibly good people, but the community needs to rally around more projects, get some more exposure to people, tell them about the Catalina message and Wagme Beach and everything like that in a more friendly environment than trying to be just like so visceral sometimes. And I it's one of those things that, like, if you remove that element from it, this rockets. This goes straight back to a blue chip. I guarantee you. To provide a more welcoming environment. And I will do my part too. We're going to be going down to the mixer down in Miami. I promise you. If anybody wants to talk to me about that, like, I will take it on the chin easily. And, we can have a good conversation about it. But I do want, like, Wagme Beach has so much potential. You just need a better, like, community welcoming environment to it. So I think there's potential there, and you can change that culture.
I just think it's like growing pains of the community, man. It's like all projects go through this cycle of like skyrocket up and go down and have a really just do some self-discovery. Catalina Wells was a little bit more harsher because they were up so high and came down so hard.
Yeah, I was about to say
Goose,
it was a violent drawdown for sure.
Yeah, dog. Yeah, it was. I still am bullish on them long term. It's like the founders aren't giving up; they're still going. And if anybody's going to be successful making a Web3 brand or an IP brand, it's them. Same thing with Bubble Goose. I am down bad on Bubble Goose, and I'm not afraid to sell at the bottom. Bison already knows some bags that I've sold at the bottom before, so I have no problems doing that. But I haven't sold because I'm still bullish on what Bubble Goose is building over there. Carl's, I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can say this, but I'll tell it on Bison off stream. So they're building over there.
Yeah, they are. And I, they've released trailers and like, you just got to give them time, guys. I promise you what they're building over there is going to be special. It's going to be something we haven't seen in Web3. And I think, if you want to see a comparable, Doodles raised 70 million. Like, and the premise was they have connections. They're going to build like a TV series and cartoons and everything like that. Bubble Goose is doing the same thing and massively undervalued, in my opinion. The same with Catalina, and that's the key to WAGMI Beach, which is going to be a whole entertainment studio. Imagine buying in on Adult Swim at the ground floor. Like, that's why I view it as. So, in the grand scheme of things, I believe in them. Remnants, I got to shill Remnants, man. Telling you right now, our plans for Q1 of 2023 is just going to be a game that we haven't seen on Web3 that everybody's going to be infatuated with, and it's going to be a expansive ecosystem that goes outside just the 8K collection we have right now. Those remnants will be key to have in the future, I promise you. So just a little alpha for you. You don't need a remnant once we make the great pivot, as I like to call it, but you will want to have one. So you may not see the value in it right now. Even the camp token is doing incredibly well on Famous Fox. It's always one of the top 3 in traded value and everything like that. And finally, the Sweets. The Sweets. I guarantee you right now, the Sweets is a sports metaverse that I've talked about, niche metaverses. If they continue to, they're another one you need patience with. And right now we're having an investment mindset, so I'm not worried about any drawdown or anything like that. But the Sweets, going to be something special. That team is also correct, also has the experience to build out an expansive ecosystem that we're not going to see anywhere else. I think the Sweets right now at 4.1 SOL, cheap. It is free. If it gets down to 3 SOL, I'm buying as much as I can.
Yeah, dog. No, I agree with you, man. Sweets is an OG project, and they've been building for a while now. So it's just like, once again, that long-term mindset that you need to have. It's like, this is not something that's going to happen overnight, but when it does happen, it's going to move.
Yeah, exactly. So those are my calls right now. Tayo's, downtrending as well. That, I would be interested sub 100 on Gen 1, sub 30 on Gen 2. If you guys want some alpha on that, oil, if it's
oil just pumped. I was checking the charts for oil just so I could talk about it, but I'm like, oh no, they just pumped because I saw them at like 5 the other day.
Yeah, if they were at 5, I was like, man, oil at 5 is a no-brainer. But at 10, that's a little rich for my blood. So I would rather get a Gen 2 personally, but that's just me. So anyways, that about does it for us. Dorian, you have any closing remarks before we head out of the show?
Just thanks everybody for tuning in. As always, greatly appreciate it. We literally wouldn't be here without you. Or if we were here, we'd be talking to nobody. So I'm glad that you tuned in.
Yes, it is our favorite day of the week. We love Tuesdays and Thursdays, just talking with you guys, talking with each other, talking a little bit about what's going on in Web3. We appreciate you guys' support. As always, we miss Joe, of course. We will hopefully have him back tomorrow, but we'll see what his health status is like. If not, we'll be running the spaces just as we normally do at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you guys so much for watching RareFUD Radio and continuing your support. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and Twitter. And make sure you follow all our socials. We do have a link tree that has every link you may need. And the final announcement, this will be our last show on this channel. It will be moving to RareFUD Radio's own YouTube channel, so I can go ahead and provide more curated content for my personal brand, just like Dorian does. If you don't follow Dorian's YouTube channel, his last video crushed it. It was awesome. I was so pumped for it. It was so good, and just continues to provide quality content that you guys should be watching. So we'll be having our own channels as well as the RareFUD Radio, which all of those channels, that will be where it is streamed. So we'll make sure to include that in the link tree, so you guys can subscribe to that channel and make sure to catch our show on YouTube. We'll see you guys next Tuesday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the stream, and then tomorrow for our weekly space. We'll see you next time.